Assalamu alaikum students. I hope you are fine and staying safe at your homes. Students, this is English lesson of class 7 of reading comprehension for the first unit of your book, that is Jameel is ashamed. Now students, we are going to look at what we are going to learn at the end of this session. You will be able to read with proper understanding. You will be able to pronounce the words correctly and recognize their meaning. You will be able to answer the questions keeping the context of the story in view. All right? Now let's start with the pictures that are there on the pages of the textbook that you have. Look at this picture. What do you think? What is happening in this picture? Yes, there is a man standing and he is taking out all his pockets and people are surrounding him and there is a worried man. You know, this man is quite worried, right? And what do you think? What might have happened? Is he missing something? Is he lost his wallet? Or somebody is trying to steal something? What do you think? What is happening and what is going to happen in this story? You see, the pockets are out of of the pants of all the people who are standing here except this man, and this man seems to make fun of the others, right? So do you having some curiosity in your mind that what is going to happen? I am curious to know what is the story is about. Okay, all right, now let's talk about the second picture. You see, the man who was standing worried is now sitting, right? And these people are talking about it. Why do you think they are talking and discussing and their facial expressions are quite weird? They seem to be quite in anger, and this man seems to be ashamed, sort of ashamed, right? And quite happy also, maybe. What do you think? What these characters tell you about the story that we are going to read today? Okay, let me ask you a few questions. Have you ever lost your anything and you have blamed it on others, that you have stolen it or you have taken it? Yes, you might have. Okay, so do tell me the answer of this question, that this is the biggest hint about the story. Okay, so are you ready to read the story? Yes, okay. Now let's look at page number 6. It says, Jameel is ashamed. Mr. Jameel had a red spotted handkerchief that he liked very much. It was a big one with deep red spots all over. Mr. Jameel always wore it in his front coat pocket, where it stuck out a little so that everyone might see it. Now, one morning, as Mr. Jameel was going along the road, he wanted to sneeze into, and it wasn't there. Mr. Jameel was so surprised that he forgot to sneeze, which was a pity, for he really liked to sneeze, good sneeze. So this man is Mr. Jameel, and he had a handkerchief in he used to have a handkerchief in his pocket, which used to come out from his pocket so that everyone might see it. And he really liked the handkerchief. And what was it? What was it look like? It used to be look like with deep red spots all over it, and it was a very big one. Okay, So what happened that in one morning, Mr. Jameel was going along the road and he wanted to have a sneeze onto it. What does the word sneeze means? Let me tell you. Sneeze means to have air come suddenly out of your mouth, like okay, okay. So he wanted to take out that handkerchief out of his pocket and wanted to sneeze into it, but he did not find it. And it was really making him worried that where my handkerchief has gone. He stood there feeling anxiously in all his pockets, but it wasn't in any of them. The word anxiously means worriedly. He was very much worried, he was very much tensed that what has happened, where my handkerchief has gone. And what happened? Somebody must have taken it, said Mr. Jameel. Yes, somebody at the meeting I have just been to. Oh, how naughty of them. I will go straight back and see who has got it. They will still be there stalking. So Mr. Jamil went and told everybody at the meeting that he had lost his red spotted handkerchief. So you see, he has just lost his handkerchief, and what is happening there? And he thought that somebody has taken my handkerchief from me, and he has lost his handkerchief, and he got really worried and got in anger that somebody at the meeting that I have just attended has taken my handkerchief. So he decided that he would go back and ask everybody who was there in the meeting that where my handkerchief has gone, give my handkerchief back to me. Okay. Okay, so what happened? So back Mr. Jameel went and told everybody at the meeting that he had lost his red spotted handkerchief. You lent it to Harris to wipe some spot off his coat, said Naeem. But I gave it back, said Harris at once. And you also lent it to Hanif to wave to his aunt when she passed by the window, said Naeem. So you see, there has been introduced the three characters, and these characters are telling this man, Mr. Jameel, that you gave it to Haris, and Haris said that no, I took it from Mr. Jameel, but I gave it back. So Mr. Jameel is still worried that what has happened to my handkerchief. The word lent means to let somebody use something that belongs to you. Okay. So it means that giving something to someone for the usage purpose. Okay. So what do you think where the handkerchief has gone? What are your guesses about it? Do you think that somebody has stolen it? Yes? Okay, let's read the next paragraph so that we will come to know that where the handkerchief has gone. But I gave it back. I know I did, said Hanif. He turned out his pockets and certainly there was no handkerchief there. And I lent it to you, Naeem, to polish your silver watch chain this morning, said Mr. Jameel. You must have kept it. Indeed I didn't, said Naeem. I put it back into your pocket myself. Did you lend it to anybody else? Yes, Jameel lent it to me to pop over my head when I went out in the sun to look for Javed, said Salim. So you see, there are a lot of people to whom this man, Mr. Jameel, gave his handkerchief to use it for different purposes. Like somebody used it for, watching, for, cleaning up the watch chain, and somebody use it to pop it over over the head when he wanted to go out in sun. So There were a lot of people who were using that handkerchief, but nobody has, stolen it. And they are telling that we have returned it back to Mr. Jameel. I tied a knot in each corner, but I untied them when I came back and gave the hanky back to Jameel. I know I did. It's no use looking at me like that, Jameel. I haven't got your handkerchief. So Salim is saying that, I gave it back to you. Don't look at me like this, that I have not stolen your, handkerchief. Well, it's a very funny thing, said Mr. Jameel, feeling angry. Now Mr. Jameel is losing his temper. I seem to have lent it to all of you this morning, and I haven't got it myself. So one of you must have kept it. It's very mean of you. So you see, this man has lost his temper, and he is saying that my handkerchief was used by all of you this morning, but nobody is, giving my handkerchief to me, and I am sure that my handkerchief is with any one of you. Very well, Mr. Jamil. We will all turn out our pockets and show you that we haven't got it, said Hanif. So Hanif is the, one who is saying that we all are going to take out our pockets and show you that we haven't have your handkerchief with us. And everyone turned out his pockets for Jamil to see. So you see, people are showing the pockets to Jameel so that they may find the lost handkerchief. So, what happens next? So, what do you think? Who is the one who has got the handkerchief? Is it Jameel? Is it Hanif? Is it Naeem? Or is it Salim? Or is it someone else? Okay, there were some received visiting cards, wallets, and money, but no red spotted handkerchief. Now turn now you turn out your pockets, Jamil, said Hanif. We will make quite sure that you are not making all this fuss for nothing. So Hanif suggested that now as you have checked our pockets for now, and what you are going to do is now you will show your pockets, and we will find out that whether you have got your handkerchief and why are you making this all mess up. So Mr. Jamil turned out his pockets, but there was no handkerchief there either. It's not a bit of use, said Mr. Jamil. One of you has my beautiful handkerchief, and it was very wrong of you. Now, Mr. Jamil, when you left the meeting, I know I saw your red handkerchief sticking out of your front coat pocket, said Salim. So now Salim is saying that when you left for meeting and when you left office, I saw that you had your handkerchief with you and it was in your pocket as usual. It used to be. I just know I did. So if you took it away yourself, we couldn't have kept it. Did you meet anyone on your way home? No, nobody, said Jameel. Tell us exactly what you did, said Hanif. Oh, well, said Jameel, I left the meeting and walking up the road, I saw a dog with a black head. Did you lend him your handkerchief? Asked Naeem. No, of course not, said Jameel. What would a dog want a handkerchief for? To wave to the engine driver of the train or something? Don't be silly. So you see, Mr. Jameel is, giving all the explanation to the people, Naeem, Hanif, and Salim, that when I left my meeting, I went up to the road. I saw a dog with the black hat, and Naima asked that, "Did you give that to the dog?" He says, "No. What the dog is going to do with the handkerchief?" So he is trying to think that where he has lost it. "Well, go on," said Hanif. And after a bit, "I saw a cow looking over a hedge," said Jamil. "Did you lend her your handkerchief?" asked Salim. "Really, Salim? Do you suppose I go about lending cows my handkerchief?" said Mr. Jamil. "I suppose you think she wanted to polish her shoes with it?" "Well, she did not. Go on. What did you do next?" So Salim says that, what did you do then? Jamil says that, I saw a cow looking over a hedge, and then Salim says that, did you give your handkerchief to the cow to polish her shoes with it? Mr. Jamil says that, what the cow is going to do with my handkerchief? He is getting more angry out of it. Now, go on. What did you do next? Hanif is taking full inquiry of Jamil. "Well, let me see," said Mr. Jamil. "Oh, I know. A car came suddenly round the corner, and I had to jump quickly into the hedge, and I fell over and hurt my knee very badly." "Did you really? Poor old Jamil," said Hanif, for he knew how painful it was to fall down. "Did your knee bleed?" "Oh, terribly," said Mr. Jamil. "I had to bandage it." He suddenly stopped and went very red indeed. He did not finish what he was going to say. So Mr. Jamil is reminding the whole incident to Hanif, Salim, and Hanif, Salim, and Naeem, that what happened to me, that after I crossed the hedge, I saw a car was coming in front of me, and I suddenly fell down on the other side on the corner, and I jumped quickly on the hedge. The word hedge means a row of bushes alongside of road. So there were fences, there were bushes that were grown around the side of the alongside of the road. And when the car hit him, he just suddenly jumped and quickly into the roadside of hedge. And then what happened? He was, bleeding with his knee, and it was terrible bleeding that he faced. And what he did, he banded it, and then a bandit means a strip of cloth to put around an injured part. And what happens next? He suddenly stopped and went very red indeed. Now he is thinking that, what has happened to me after it, that when my knee was totally bleeding, and I was hit by the car, then what happened to me? He stopped. "Go on," said Naim. "Oh, that's all," said Mr. Naim. "Well, I don't think I will bother any more about my handkerchief. Goodbye, everyone." "No, no, Mr. Jamil, don't go yet," said Naim, and he held him by the arm. "Let's see your poor hurt knee." So now they are now, as Jamil has realized that he is mistaken, and the handkerchief is still with him, so he is thinking that, I must go and say goodbye to them and do not bother them at all. Now what Naim is saying, that please don't go, just sit here and let us see your hurt knee. Now what happens next? "Oh, it's quite all right now," said Mr. Jamil. "It might not be," said Naim. "We would better look and see if it wants bathing." Turn up your trouser leg, Jameel. So Jameel had to, and his knee was neatly bound up with, what do you think? Yes, his red spotted handkerchief. I don't wonder you feel ashamed of yourself, said Naim sternly. Now, what they found out that inside the trouser leg, Jamil had tightly knotted his handkerchief on the knee. And now what happens? That Naim says that, are you not ashamed of yourself by blaming on us? Coming back here and making all that fuss, when if only you would thought for a moment, you would have known quite well where your silly old handkerchief was all the time. So he is getting very angry that why you blamed all of us for stealing your handkerchief. Although if you have thought for a while that where you have put it, then you must have not returned back, come to us and made all this drama for us. I am sorry, said Mr. Jamil, and he went home feeling very much ashamed. He did not like to wear his handkerchief anymore, so now it is neatly folded in his drawer. Silly old Mr. Jamil. He did make a mistake, didn't he? So this was the whole story. Do you think that this was the mistake of Mr. Jamil? Yes. Yes, definitely it was mistake of Mr. Jamil. He first have assured, he first must have checked that whether this handkerchief is with him or not. Then he should have gone to the other people to check them. All right, students. Now, what we have, learned about the new vocabulary with meanings is sternly serious, ashamed, feeling sorry, or guilty. What you have to do is you have to learn the meanings of these words, and after learning the meanings, we will do this task one. What you have to do is you have to match the words with their meanings. The first is proud. Proud. What does this word mean? Worriedly, feeling sorry and guilty, thing, pleased and satisfied. To get upset, usually unnecessarily, is it means pleased and satisfied. Sneeze. We have just read the meaning of it. Sneeze. To have air come suddenly out from your nose. Anxiously. Very good. Worriedly. Lend. To let somebody use something that belongs to you. Okay, for example, you have a pencil and your sister wants to use that pencil. It means that you are lending that pencil to your sister. Okay, we will talk about it later. Not. What does the word not mean? What does the not word mean? It means joint or tie in something. Very good. Fuss. To get upset, usually unnecessarily. You see, he was fussing, he was having fussing behavior, Mr. Jameel. Hedge. Hedge means a row of bushes along the edge of a road or the field. Suppose. What does the word suppose means? Think. Bandage. It means a strip of cloth to put round an injured part. Very good. Ashamed, feeling sorry and guilty. Mr. Jamil felt sorry and guilty at the end of the story. He was ashamed. Okay, students, there are given a few new vocabulary words. I am going to pronounce each word, and what you have to do is you have to listen to me very carefully, and after listening to my pronunciation, you have to repeat it after me. Okay? All right. First is sternly, sternly, not, not, hedge, hedge, ashamed, ashamed, lend, lend, bandage, bandage, fuss, fuss, sneeze, sneeze, anxiously, anxiously, handkerchief, handkerchief. It's not handkerchief. The D is silent. Handkerchief. Okay? All right. I hope you have repeated the words after me. Now we are going to do task 2 of the lesson. What you are supposed to do is that there are given some words that are misspelled and they are not correctly written. What you have to do is you have to first of all you have to identify those words, and then after identifying you will rewrite the paragraph and you will write the correct words spelling and by correcting the misspelled words. Okay. Now, task 3, use of lend and borrow. As I have already discussed with you, the word lend means that you give something to someone for a period of time. For example, you lend someone your pencil to write, okay? Borrow means to receive something which belongs to someone for a period of time. For example, your brother is you are lending a pencil to your brother, and your brother is borrowing a pencil from you. Okay, so this is the difference. Now what you are going to do is you have to fill in the blanks of these sentences by using lend or borrow. Okay, first word for sentence: if you need a pen, I can dash one to you. Lend or borrow? I can lend one to you. Very good. Can I dash your book? Can I lend or borrow? Can I borrow your book? Very good. Has he returned the stapler you dash him? You lended him. Very good. You lent him. She let me dash her car to go to the shops. She let me borrow her car. Very good. They had to dash the money from the bank. They had to borrow the money. Very good, students. I have learned never to dash my books, never to lend my books. You are allowed to borrow or lend 5 books from the library at a time. You are allowed to borrow. Very good. Okay, students, now we will move towards task 4. What you are supposed to do is open your notebooks and write the questions of the comprehension. And how are you going to write? You will write the name of the unit on the top and the date on the left, and you will write the first question and then you will write the answer of the second question by finding it out in the chapter and finding it out in the story that you have read. The first question is, what do you learn about Mr. Jameel's handkerchief? Second one is, when and where did Mr. Jameel realize that his handkerchief was not there in his pocket? Number 3, How did Mr. Jameel go about finding his handkerchief? Number 4, was Mr. Jameel willing to lend his handkerchief to others? If yes, give evidence from the text. Number 5, for what purposes was the red spotted handkerchief used by different people in the story? Number 6, what is the proper way to find something misplaced instead of blaming others? Number 7, why was Mr. Jameel ashamed? Okay, so you are going to write the answers of the questions. Now students, we will going to wrap up our lesson for today, and before wrapping it up, what we are going to do is we will just talk about the moral of the story that we have just read. And the moral is that whenever you lose anything about for yourself, you are not supposed to blame it for others. Okay, you are not supposed to blame others for that particular thing. Rather, you are supposed to first find it out in by yourself, and then you ask others that whether you have seen my thing or not. Okay, so now students, we will wrap up our lesson by watching a video, and this video is showing you a moral lesson also.
Join Kids Hat family. Tia, did you take my school project? Yes, Tofu. I took it to school with me. How can you, Tia? I worked on that project for 6 weeks. I used all my pocket money to get the supplies for it. It wasn't yours to take. Tofu, can you please calm down? There is a reason that I took it. What could be a good reason to steal my project? Before I tell you that, I need to tell you something else. The other side of the wall. Once upon a time, a girl loved gardening. She had many beautiful flowering plants in her garden. One day, she went to the market and met a lady selling seeds. These are seeds of a beautiful flowering creeper plant. If you want to plant it near a wall, it will take a support of the wall and grow. Take these. Your garden will become even more beautiful. The girl bought the seeds and merrily came home. She planted them by the back wall of her garden. It was a wall that she shared with her neighbor. Her neighbor couldn't walk, but they would often talk to each other from behind this wall. I have planted seeds of a lovely new plant. Oh, that's nice. I wish I could someday come and see a beautiful garden. But alas, I cannot move. My own garden has become a dry patch of land as I cannot take care of it. Many months passed, and the girl tended to her new creeper plant every day. And with each day, the plant became bigger and bigger, but it didn't flower. Not a single flower grew on it. Frustrated by the only plant that did not give her flowers, she decided to cut it down. She brought her axe and was about to chop the creeper down. Just then, her neighbor called out, "Is that you? I have been meaning to talk to you for many weeks. Thank you so much for the lovely flowers." Flowers? Yes, they are beautiful. I feel so happy every time I see them. The girl rushed to the neighbor's house. She saw that the creeper from her garden had pushed through the cracks and holes in her wall and was growing on her neighbor's side of the wall. And it was full of the most beautiful flowers she had ever seen in her life. You didn't submit the project as your own, did you, Tia? You took it for a good cause. Yes, I am glad that you have understood that. I took it because the house on your project kept falling apart. I took it to the carpentry lab and got it fixed. I will get it back.
So, students, this was the lesson for today, that do not blame anyone for something until and unless you have, made surety about it. Okay, I hope you have liked this lesson today. Thank you so much for listening to this lesson, and I hope you have learned a lot from it. Allah Hafiz.